Good Monday afternoon. I'm WCIA3 meteorologist Jacob Dickey. We are on our digital platforms here for a severe thunderstorm warning that has been issued for a storm we're watching in west central Illinois out by the Illinois River here. That's going to include parts of Cass and Morgan counties, and it's going to go until 2 o'clock. There is also a severe thunderstorm warning for Schuyler County. That's across the Illinois River, including the Rushville area. That's until 1:45. They extended that until 2 o'clock for parts of Cass and far northwestern Morgan County. So that's why we're here now, just to update you on the situation. You may remember if you watched the news last night, we talked about how there could be an isolated storm or two somewhere, and that's what we've been monitoring. So we've got this severe thunderstorm warning, and that's why, again, we're on digital platforms only with an update for you. The storm warned for Cass and Morgan County is for 60-mile-per-hour winds and quarter-sized hail. There's some reasonable confidence that there's some quarter to half-dollar-sized hail based on radar indications. Quite a bit of instability with this storm, and that storm is now near Beardstown, moving off to the east. And we'll talk a little bit more about the warning specifically, but we are monitoring a little bit of rotation in spots. Just that one thing that happens every now and then where we get a storm where we can see something develop and take advantage of some of that instability and a little boundary in place. And that's what we've got here. Let's talk about the view across the area here real fast before we hit the storm and talk about it. This is our one storm. One thing I'll note is we actually are having an outage for the National Weather Service in Lincoln. Their radar is down for us. They still, though, are looking at the radar, and they're able to get it in-house. We are not, though. There's an internet outage. Sometimes that happens, so we're still able to get quality warnings from them, and we're still able to see things through their lens. And they're indicating that what they're noticing on their radar here in Lincoln at this storm is it's had what we call a three-body scatter spike, a very strong indication of hail. They've also mentioned they've seen a little bit of rotation in the mid-levels of the storm. That's not indicative of maybe something down close to the ground, but at least we know it's a stronger storm, likely with some hail based on that here. And that's it. We have no watch. Just the severe thunderstorm warning till 2 o'clock for Morgan and Cass counties. The rest of the area does look pretty clear. I'll show you here a different vantage point just so you can get an idea. This is another radar product where we can kind of, make sure we're looking at everything. It's on the tail end of that leftover storm complex that we talked about that would be heading this way last night as it moves to the south and east. And right there is where that storm is now, crossing near Beardstown, coming into Cass and Morgan counties. Other than that, really the threat today is slim to none. But that slim little 10% chance is verifying very well here west of I-55 this afternoon, where we thought we'd have a few scattered storms. We think really for most of Champaign, Mattoon, Charleston, perhaps even Decatur, maybe even Effingham, the threat for even some scattered storms isn't even there today. We'll watch it and see how it evolves. The more active pattern starts tomorrow for us, but we've got this one supercell thunderstorm, we'll call it that, based on what it's been doing for Morgan and Cass County that continues until 2 o'clock. A lot of folks watching elsewhere. Not much happening there. You'll see on the bottom of the screen on TV that warning going by, and of course we posted a social media post, so we wanted to give you some info on that. Before I talk about that Cass and Morgan County storm, wanted to make sure in the chats, I see there's a number of people on, that's great, and we're going to take a look at our St. Louis radar up close at where this storm is heading here. From what I'm looking at, near Beardstown here, you can see where some of this dark reds and pinks are. That's where the strongest part of the storm is. Here's US 67. You take that south. You pass by Meredosia Road. Here's Aaronsville. Jacksonville sits down here. Beardstown is there. There's Virginia. You've got Chandlerville. You've got the Jim Edgar Forest area up here. There's Newmansville, Ashland. Springfield sits down there. This storm is actually taking a little bit more of a right turn, so I'm not even certain it's going to be a Springfield problem. I think it's going to be more of a Jacksonville problem, maybe western Sangamon County if it continues on that direction. But it's mainly western Cass and far northwestern Morgan County that is under that warning right now. Again, we're looking at this from the St. Louis radar because the data coming out of the Lincoln radar is not getting out to external groups like us, or if your app, maybe you have the WCIA3 weather app, the Radar Scope app. You won't see the Lincoln radar responding, but they are getting the data internally at the National Weather Service in Lincoln. And so we're using a bit of a more broad appeal to this storm as it continues now into western Cass County, northwestern Morgan County with that severe thunderstorm warning until 2 o'clock. So let's take a little bit wider view here. There's Jacksonville. Here's Winchester and Scott County. There's Springfield. Here's Petersburg. Ashland sits there, Virginia right there. Mason County is up here. You can see it's western Cass and far northwestern Morgan County, not including Jacksonville. But I tell you what, Jacksonville, this storm will be heading in your direction, moving to the south and east at 20 miles an hour. It started up here. The interesting thing about it is it started to make a right turn. Often when we see storms do that, it's an indication that it's strengthening a little bit and taking advantage of some of that instability and a boundary locally in place. That boundary sits right about here to help give it just a little mid-level spin. While immediately not likely, this storm still, though, is something that needs to be monitored closely for the chance for a tornado moving forth. No tornado warning. It is a severe thunderstorm warning for Cass and Morgan County. I'm going to take another view. We're going to go up to the Quad Cities radar to the north. This radar is up here, Davenport, Iowa, and looks to the south. Again, it's far away. We're looking pretty high up in the storm. But we know that there's a core of hail in there. There's also an indication of a little rotation. And we'll switch over to our base velocity products. This is what we can show how particles are moving in the air. This is the Lincoln one. Notice the Lincoln one, there's no data there. But we switch to the St. Louis base velocity. We're looking at how things move. You can see some of these bright greens and bright reds, an indication that there is some swirling winds here. Again, we're looking 10,000 feet up from this vantage point, but we know that there's at least some mid-level rotation in there as that storm moves to the south and to the east, and likely some strong winds and even some hail expected in that. That, again, is our St. Louis one. I'm sorry, no. This is our St. Louis one. We'll switch to the Quad Cities and get another look at it. These reds showing winds blowing out, green showing winds going in. There's some mid-level rotation in there, which doesn't necessarily indicate a tornado is likely. Often what it will mean is that that mid-level mesocyclone gives you a chance for some hail and some strong winds at the baseline here. Not all spinning storms will produce tornadoes. This storm has a little bit of mid-level rotation. That's going to help with the hail, and that's going to help with even the gusty winds making it down to the surface. Let me check my National Weather Service chat real quick to see if we have any updates. They've not indicated any updates. We've not received any storm reports from the area. And they're still saying, though, that there's likely some hail. I'll take a look at our hail product here, see if we can't detect some of that ourselves. And it looks like, again, with the, there we go. You can see this core of blue in there. There's a little spot of pink. That's probably a quarter, maybe a little bit larger. Let me query that and see if we can't take a peek. Looks like the radar indicating up to $half size hail, if not ping pong ball size hail, south and east of Beardstown. However, it's hot out. As that hail falls, it will melt, so it's probably closer to quarters, if not a little larger, in that area. That's going to be moving to the south and east. Eventually, Jacksonville will be one area that we are going to watch. And then, of course, the wind will be something we need to watch, too. And I'm going to pull, let's pull my wind shear product and take a peek. And it'll take a second to load the data in. And there you can see there's a little bit in there. It's not showing a whole lot at this point, so this may be more of a hail issue now. I'd be very interested in any reports from Beardstown or point to the south and to the east if there's anything. So that's what we're watching. Lightning, I tell you what, this storm has been a prolific lightning producer over its time here, and I'm going to pull the warning data off. So we're looking at the Lincoln radar. So it looks empty. We're looking at just the lightning, though. Look at all that lightning that's in place here in northwestern Cass County. And what I'll do is I'll query how many lightning strikes we've had with this storm over the last 15 minutes. We're looking at 400 strikes in 15 minutes. That's going to average, 20-some a minute. With this particular storm. Pretty frequent lightning with that. And you'll notice that the negative strikes and the positive strikes, that's a bit more split apart here. We've got a higher number of positive strikes, a higher indication of a stronger storm with some hail aloft, looking at that. So back to the radar, and then we'll wrap this digital coverage up here as we get some updates and work behind the scenes and some information. Again, I've got to use the St. Louis radar because the Lincoln radar is not putting data out to external sources here. It's only internally at the National Weather Service office where they can see that. There's an internet outage. That's all we know at this point, but they still are able to look at the storm from Lincoln. We just are not, though, so we've got to use our radar down in St. Louis to peek in here. And this storm, that first warning had it coming this way, but you can see that clear southeastern jog. And what I'll do is I will loop it. Why don't we do that to show you the last hour or so? Get a view of it. you can kind of see how here it was moving east and it took that southeastward dive. The warning came out right about there for areas south of Rushville to the north and west of, north and east of Mount Sterling, I should say. And then they've extended that warning. So on this general path here, it looks like it will be Jacksonville, perhaps Jacksonville Prison, areas west of Jacksonville on 72 towards Alexander. If it goes far enough, it may be a western Sangamon County issue, New Berlin, Waverly, areas west of Auburn, and would carry down Interstate 55. And really, that was the forecast for today, but today we got that one storm that just had a little more oomph to it and has been a problem. So from our vantage point now, we're going to watch this and keep an eye on it. But really, there's, for us locally, probably the best view from this storm is going to be from St. Louis at this point with that southward motion. We normally would have the radar right here again. That's a lot closer than St. Louis down here at the Lambert International Airport, a much further distance. But we can still take a peek at it. It does look like there's maybe been a few showers in Springfield. What I'll do now is I'm actually going to pull up our sky cam, and bear with me for a second. That's looking in Gibson City right now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to switch to our Springfield one and take a peek. Again, really the concern for elsewhere in the area isn't there. It's a nice day in Gibson City. Nice green grass, lots of sunshine. There's some clouds in there. We don't anticipate any issues for that. There's a look at Springfield. All right, so we're looking to the west there over the capital. A bit hazy, looks a little dark over there. That storm is still a little far away for us to get a much better vantage point on, but we can still take a peek at it. Still got those bees out there that Kevin and Jennifer Roscoe have been fascinated with. So that's this looking off to the west there. I'm going to turn the camera. Oop, that's the wrong one. I'm going to look at the Springfield, and I'm going to start turning it a little more to the north, and we'll make a loop all the way around, see if we can't get a view to the northeast. And as it spins, you can see maybe some of those updrafts with some of those scattered showers. It looks like my radar, there we go. So yeah, it looks like there's a few little spots here, but that main concern is going to be the storm off to the west there, again, along the Illinois River coming out of Beardstown. So we're going to watch that and keep an eye on it, but certainly, let me switch that back to the capital, and we'll leave that be as I'm having a little issue there. So we've got the severe thunderstorm warning. Did we have an official risk for severe weather today? No, the Storm Prediction Center did not have that for organized, robust, severe storms. But even when you have what's technically a 0 out of 5 threat, sometimes you get those little local accidents, and that's what that one storm is with the severe thunderstorm warning. So technically on the board, no severe weather. You can never say never, and that little storm that's riding the boundary here has given us that severe thunderstorm warning for Cass and Morgan counties until 2 o'clock. And let me bring up the correct radar so we can look at it. Now it looks like Aurensville. Here's US 67. Chapin is there. Jacksonville is here. You've got Litterbury, Virginia. And this storm really, I think, is heading straight for Jacksonville, eventually to the south and east. We'll pass east of Meridosia. We'll pass over Jacksonville. Murrayville, you've got 67. You've got the 67 bypass, the split here. There's Interstate 72. It's probably going to be mainly a Morgan County issue after this point, and it may be accelerating a little too. I tell you what, I think it's probably picking up maybe 25, 30 miles an hour, and so that may help with some of the wind potential in parts of Morgan County. So Jacksonville, Murrayville, even I'd say Waverly, some of these small little communities, Orleans, Alexander, Reese, and places like that, probably going to watch and see if we don't get an extension of the warning. Even if we don't, excuse me, even if we don't, this storm will be sliding to the south and east, and we'll still have plenty of lightning with it for parts of Morgan County. And so that's what we're watching. Again, as we look at our velocity product from St. Louis, we're looking high up in there. This is not close to the ground. This is probably 6,000 to 7,000 feet, but still an indication of some turbulence, some wind shear in there, something organized, and some of that may very well be mixing down to the ground. Lincoln has a better view. They're probably looking 3,000 to 4,000 feet up from their radar, and probably seeing a little bit lower, which is why they've had that warning. So the warning continues for southeastern Schuyler, much of western Cass, and far northwestern Morgan County for another 15 minutes or so. Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to go ahead and sign off here. If we need to, we'll do another update at 2 o'clock. If there's an extension of the warning, we'll jump back on digital platforms. If they happen to go With the tornado warning, then of course we'll be on TV and we'll be covering here on digital platforms as well. And if the storm doesn't get an extension of the warning, then hopefully this is the last you hear from us until the news tonight at 6 o'clock. We'll mention a programming note. Right now on CBS, golf is on, and golf is going to cancel our 5 o'clock newscast. So we'll have a 6 o'clock newscast. And you'll catch me for the latest forecast there, 9 and 10, as we start to enter a little bit of a week where the weather picking up a little more active in nature. Other than that, before we wrap up here, I'm going to show you future track and just get an idea of what's happening. Overall, pretty good idea with an individual storm. It's a little to the north, but I think the trend is going to show us what to expect here. It suggests that it starts to weaken and dissipate as it moves to the south and east. That may very well be possible. That's about it, though. That one storm in western Illinois. And then tomorrow we'll begin our chances for daily periods of scattered showers and storms for a little while longer. So we're going to keep an eye on that one warning. Severe thunderstorm warning. It goes until 2 o'clock for Cass, northwestern Morgan County. And we'll see what this storm ends up doing here over the next 15 minutes. I'm meteorologist Jacob Dickey. We'll sign off now. If I need to, I'll update you again at 2 o'clock, if not sooner. If I don't need to, you won't see me until the 6 o'clock news tonight. Take care. Have a great rest of your afternoon.